Gopijana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopijana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yasodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. That telephone. Yasodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. It's right between me and this here. You have to move it or move something. All you'll see is the microphone. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Panachari. Yamuna Tira Panachari. Yamuna Tira Panachari. Yamuna Tira Panachari. Jaya Radha Amadava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Amadava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paripajacharya Ashtatar Saraswati A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki. Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Bhadra Purnim ki. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtavakale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namo. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Vacharine Nirvasesha Sanyavari Pastichade Shatari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Which verse are we reading? 36. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17. And today we're reading text 36. The chapter is entitled Punishment and Reward for Kali, of Kali. Punishment and reward. Interesting. So we're at a very interesting stage here of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome you all this morning. I mean, it's nice to see some of you have, let's say, after yesterday, have managed to turn up. Some of you were here yesterday, Srimad? You didn't make it. But some of the devotees were up. I heard the kirtan was going on at midnight and even beyond. They're coming back at 2 o'clock in the morning. People are still partying outside the door there. So the kirtan went on till midnight last night. Some of you went out on the street. Did you go out on the street? I could have done. I didn't sleep anyway, but I was actually very tired. But I couldn't sleep anyway. They left for 11 o'clock for Harinam on the street last night. And who else? Did you go? Did you go? You went out at 11 o'clock last night. You went. What are you staying here? No? Are you, is a guest, visitor? You know each other. Familiar. Pardon? Oh, you've been before. Wonderful. What is your name? Luke. Very common name now today. It's a very popular name, Luke. Welcome, Luke, and everybody else. So we're at a very interesting stage in the discussion here. And the age of Kali has just begun. Is there a board with a verse on or something? I may not be able to because I'm supposed to leave for Stoke quite early, apparently. So I have a lot to do before going. So we may read the verse, although we'll read it, but I mean whether we repeat, let's see. So let's do it anyway. Kaliru Vacha Yatrukva Vatadadsyami Sarvabhoma Tavagyaya Lakshaye Tatatatrapi Tvamateshu Sharasanam Kaliru Vacha Yatrakva Vatavasyami Sarvabhoma Tavagyaya Lakshaye Tatatatrapi Tvamateshu Sharasanam Kaliruvacha Yatra kvaya vatavatshyami Sarvabhauma tavagyaya Lakshaye tatatatrapi Tvamateshu sharasanam.
Kaliruvacha Yatra kvavata vachyami
Sarvabhauma tavagyaya Lakshaye tatatatrapi Tvamateshu sharasanam.
Yatra vata vatsami
Kaliruvacha
Yatra vata vatsami Sarvabhauma Tvajangaya
Sarvabhauma tavagyaya
Lakshaye
Lakshaye
tatatatrapi
tatatatrapi
Bhamateshu saranasanam
Tvamateshu sharasanam.
Kaliruvacha
Kaliruvacha
Yatra kvavata vachyami
Yatra kvavata vatsyami
Sarvabhauma tavanaya
Sarvabhauma tavagyaya
Lakshaye tatra tatrapi
Lakshaye tatatatrapi
Vamateshu sharasanam
Tvamateshu sharasanam.
Kaliruvacha
Kaliruvacha
Yatra Kavata Vatsyami
Yatra kvavata vatsyami
Sarvabhauma Tavagyaya
Sarvabhauma tavagyaya
Lakshaye Tatra Tatrapi
Lakshaye tatatatrapi
Svamateshu Sharasanam
Tvamateshu sharasanam. Kali Uvacha. The personality of Kali said, Yatra, anywhere, Kva, and everywhere, Va, either, Atta, thereof, Vatsyami, I shall reside, Sarvabhauma, O Lord, or Emperor of the earth. That's Kali addressing Parikshit Maharaj. Tava, your, Ajnaya, by the order, Lakshaye, I see, Tatra Tatra, anywhere and everywhere. Api, also, Tvam, your majesty. Atta, taken over. Ishu, arrows. Sharasanam, bows. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Oh, your majesty, though I may live anywhere and everywhere under your order, I shall but see you with bow and arrows wherever I look. Purport. The personality of Kali could see that Maharaj Parikshit was the emperor of all lands all over the world. And thus, anywhere he might live, he would have to meet with the same mood of the king. The personality of Kali was meant for mischief, and Maharaj Parikshit was meant for subduing all kinds of mischief mongers, especially the personality of Kali. It was better, therefore, for the personality of Kali to have been killed by the king then and there, instead of being killed elsewhere. He was, after all, a surrendered soul before the king, and it was for the king to do what was required. So, it's ironic that we're here in Leicester, and especially Saturday night is quite a wild night out there on the streets. Is it not? What are they doing out there at night? Are they chanting japa? Really? I'm not sure. I couldn't see what they were doing. But what do they do at 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning out there?
It says gratify themselves.
They try to what?
It says gratify themselves.
Gratify their bodies and minds. Pardon?
Intoxicating.
They're intoxicating. They're drinking, smoking. What else they're doing? Anything else? I don't know what goes on. I was surprised how much nightlife there is in Leicester. It's quite a lively place at night, at least this area. It seems to be most sort of towns, other than major cities, are not so active at night. So what are they doing? They're drinking and they're smoking. I guess they're eating, are they? They eat sometimes. Whatever they fancy, some smash burger, crash smash burger or whatever is around the corner shop. And other places. And I don't know if they gamble here, but in many places they have some gambling facilities. And they're certainly trying to enjoy some form of sexual activity, quite common. And of course this is clearly, as will be seen, the place is given for Kali to reside. Kali in the kingdom of Maharaj Parikshit, we're going back 5,000 or more years, there's nowhere for him to reside. Kali is the influence, the personal influence in this age. It's a very interesting. You could say why. Even here it said better he'd been killed. Parikshit Maharaj could have killed him on the spot in one sense, but that wasn't his business. This is all the Lord's doing, isn't it? It's all the Lord's doing. It's an interesting pastime. And you can read it in the pastimes of the Krishna book also, although this detail is not given, but the basic pastime is there. When there was a solar eclipse in Kurukshetra, somewhat towards the end of Krishna's pastimes, manifest pastimes, there was a solar eclipse, and it so happened that devotees, people from all over the place, assembled in Kurukshetra, including many of the residents of Dwarka and even the residents of Vrindavan. Many of them came there, at least in some form of expanded forms. They came there to Kurukshetra for various reasons, and it's considered to be very beneficial on an eclipse to go to a holy place, assemble there. Eclipses are not usually considered auspicious. So it's usually to do something holy, something auspicious at that time that's recommended. So many of them went there, and we can read in the Krishna book how the residents of Dwarka met with the residents of Vrindavan, kind of. But one other incident took place in relationship to this, that there in Kurukshetra, the personality of Kali appeared. He's not actually appeared yet in one sense, but he appeared unseen to everyone except to Krishna. He approached Krishna, who was there. He said, "My Lord, how long do I have to wait?" Because during Krishna's presence, of course, there's no question of Kali being able to act as such. Although it is said that Duryodhana was an expansion of Kali also. Of course, he was also curtailed. But during Krishna's presence, it was coming particularly to Yada Yadahi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata, to wherever there's irreligion, Krishna's. That's what he says. I appear to establish religion. So, which is, you could say, what happened. So where would Kali? He came into the picture unseen to others, and he requested the Lord, when can I begin? So Krishna thought, that's a good question. That's a good question. In fact, you can't begin while I'm here. And even after I go, all the demoniac persons have been basically killed. And so we have the Yadu dynasty, which is my own family, my own dynasty, and many other pious persons, of course, in the Kauravas. Maharaj Parikshit was about to take birth in the near future, that is. And at that time, of course, Pandavas and others were still present on the planet. And so we thought, well, it's not right. I've got to. And you know what Krishna thought? Krishna was thinking. He said, I have to think of some plan to introduce irreligion. How am I going to do this? Because the Yadu dynasty is still present. And so many other saintly persons are present. I have to think of a plan to facilitate Kali. Krishna's thinking. It doesn't sound a normal train of thought, does it? So he thought of a plan. And that's why you see this whole strange, very strange scenario in Bhakshetra, where the Yadavas, the Yadu dynasty, appear to wipe each other out. At least the male members, almost all of them, wiped each other out. You know that? Pastime. They fought with each other. They got so-called intoxicated. You know, when people get intoxicated, they become a little mad. They do things, ridiculous things. Behave crazy, totally, almost unconscious of what they're doing, in a sense, oblivious to how it affects others around them. They often get in trouble. So that was arranged by Krishna. He made that arrangement. Everything was arranged by Krishna, purposely. Whether it was the Samba being kind of cursed by the sages, or whatever it was. The iron ball, the throwing of the filings into the ocean, and what have you, and throwing the little teeny piece away. All this was all a special plan of the Lord to remove the Yadu dynasty from the face of the earth. No one could remove them, only Krishna. So he removed them by that ploy in such a way. Now, and he also, of course, departed himself in a rather strange way from a transcendental perspective, being shot in the heel by a hunter, Jara. Different things. There's many things behind it. I can't remember all the details. But this is described. I think Vishwanath Chakravarti describes this in his commentary on that chapter. And this is all Krishna's plan, even his own departure, to enable people in Kali Yuga to think that Krishna is an ordinary person. And the Yadus were just demigods or something. This is Krishna's arrangement, so they would become offensive and irreligious. Isn't that amazing how Krishna himself makes an arrangement so that people become irreligious? Doesn't sound like the normal, or the expected behavior of the Supreme Lord, but this is all part of a divine plan. It's Kali Yuga. To prepare the scene for such persons in Kali Yuga. They want to be atheistic. They want to be godless. It's a fact. So the facility has to be there to fulfill their desires, and that's what Kali's business is, to facilitate. We naturally paint a very bad picture of Kali, but he's actually an instrument acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord to facilitate the necessary situation in this age. So Krishna is saying, I've got to know, yeah, it's his turn. I've got to give it I've got to help to make sure that he gets this opportunity. playing an amazing part there. And people think, oh, the Yadu dynasty. Of course, those parts that fought in Prabhakshetra are not the eternal associates of the Lord. They're the demigod portions. The demigods merged into the eternal associates of the Lord in the form of the Yadavas. Sometimes the demigod portions seem to be prominent in their behavior, criticizing Krishna over the Shamantaka jewel and so on and so forth. That's not the mood of his eternal associates, obviously. But for the purpose of the necessary pastimes, the Lord also inspires them like that. But the demigods took birth in the Yadu dynasty. That doesn't mean they became Yadavas exactly. They merged into the Lord's eternal associates. This is a very common, let's say, event in transcendental pastimes. And then when the time came, they went back. So Krishna arranged this. The original forms were still in Dwarka in an unmanifest form. Oh, dishes. Dwarka is eternal and manifest to us. So to fulfill everyone's desires, these pastimes took place. And now we have the situation where Krishna has departed, unmanifested his pastimes. The Yadavas have unmanifested their pastimes. The Pandavas have unmanifested their pastimes. And it's basically, the world is just with Parikshit Maharaj governing the world as the emperor. And Kali is beginning, entering in. And as we'll see, that because of the greatness of Emperor Parikshit, Kali was still unable to act. Made the effort, he started, beating the cow and the bull, symbolic, exploiting the earth, introducing violence against other living beings and so on. And Maharaj Parikshit, of course, had intervened. He was ready to sever his head. You can't possibly be accommodated in my kingdom, such behavior. But, of course, Kali then, he was about to cut his head. Kali surrendered to him, begged for protection. I'm also your citizen, please protect me. You have to give me somewhere to live at least. I can see there's nowhere to live in your kingdom. Wherever I go, you're going to be there, ready to kill me. You're not going to allow any irreligion to come in. But I've got my business to do. You have to give me some place. So as you know, he gives Kali 4 places. 4 places. And you can see Kali is definitely residing here in, what's the other, is that Granby Street, the main one? In Granby Street on Saturday night, that's for sure. Kali is having a party out there. And everyone is dancing according to his tune, isn't it? They're all puppets. And that's happening all over the world, everywhere. Kali. And they think they're enjoying themselves. And so Kali had, but still there's nowhere for Kali. Because Parikshit Maharaj, no such things could take place under his kingdom. And wherever they were controlled and regulated. They were kept under control. They weren't out of control. Meat eating, but it was controlled. It was according to Shastra, it was controlled. Gambling, these things may have been there in certain areas, but they were all according to religious principles. And Kali does not represent religious principles. Kali means quarrel, hypocrisy. They don't follow. It's another symptom of Kali Yuga, that there's so much hypocrisy in the name of religion. So what to do? What to do? Poor Kali. Poor Kali. Nowhere to live. And even if there's somewhere to live, it's like living in a prison. Irish preachers, they're making sure you can't do any mischief. You can live there, but you're going to be under lock and key. You can't move outside. You can't influence anyone outside of that. So he gave him the fifth place, which we'll find out later, which is wherever there is falsity, particularly falsity of money, this hoarding of money, just like now in our modern society, so-called. You pick up your banknote, no, maybe not in England, but they still have banknotes in America. And what does it say on there? Has anyone got a banknote with them right now?
Yeah.
Give me a banknote.
American one.
Give me one.
Especially for today.
There you go, isn't that amazing? The United States of America. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, whatever that means. And on the back it says, "In God we trust."
Well.
In God we trust. Whatever that means. But you go to the bank, and it's supposed to be, even more so probably in this country, it's supposed to be backed up by gold. Gold. So this standardization, they call it the gold standard, is really the main way that Kali Yuga has completely captured everyone. The whole world is under it. Even devotees are sometimes carried away by this. Through this false monetary system. This is the main way. Falsity, of course, is a beginning to that in terms of the falsity, which we'll see later on, with Shringi, the misbehavior of the Brahmin boy. Everything orchestrated by Krishna. The whole thing is always meant to be like this, this Kali Yuga. Meant to be. The winter's meant to be cold. The winter's meant, the summer's meant, well, it may not be, it's Kali Yuga, but it's meant to be warm in the summer. It's ordained. This is all Krishna's arrangement. And of course, normally in Kali Yuga, there is a process of liberation. In this particular Kali Yuga, the special age, a very particular age. And it's the business of the devotees is following in the same spirit of King Parikshit. Of course, we don't have in any way, practically none at all, in fact, influence from the material point of view. You can try. Some Christian preachers try. They go out on the street, screaming and shouting and threatening everybody. But nobody takes a blind bit of notice. Right? I saw them a couple of days ago in the clock tower, some enthusiastic Christian people singing away and shouting away, but nobody was paying a blind bit of notice. People are not interested. It's Kali Yuga. We have no leg to stand on, practically, as far as the material wood goes. Insignificant. There are small pockets here and there, but nothing very much. So, in relation to the overall picture. But it's the devotee's duty. The devotee, as it was King Parikshit's duty to protect the citizens. In this particular, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come, and understandably that in time that will manifest itself more, but his mission to protect, not physically only, I mean maybe sometimes physically, that's there. King Parikshit could have protected physically also. He was powerful enough to challenge Kali. We may not be as such. But in another way, I don't have my computer, but there's some nice verses which describe how Kali Yuga, for instance, is like a black snake. Dangerous black snake which can bite and poison everything. But the Sankirtan movement is like a forest fire which will burn to ashes all the snakes of Kali Yuga. In other places it says how Kali runs in fear when the Sankirtan. Of course, the degree of, let's say, potency is also there. We are not Lord Chaitanya. We are not Srila Prabhupada. It's powerful. But Prabhupada wanted, we need an army, let's say. It may be a misunderstood word, but it's appropriate, of dedicated devotees to the only effect of counteracting this this Kali Yuga, the Yuga Dharma, to counteract the effects of Kali. First within our own hearts, iti shodashakam nam Kali kalmashanashanam. In our own heart, the effects of Kali have to be countered and replaced with another, not just killing Kali, but then what? Nothing. People have to have something. It has to be replaced. Devotees, it has to be replaced by something higher or alternative. In the material world, sometimes people recognize the fallacy of the situation, but they don't know what to do about it. They have their protests. Now they're protesting. France is a constant protest, basically. Now they're protesting about the new Prime Minister. They never stop. They have to think of something to protest, but they never do anything. They just protest. That's it, finished. There's no action. Because they have no alternative. They have no idea what life is for. That's Maya, you could say, the influence of Maya, but it's particularly, you could say, stirred by Kali. This material world is like that. And because people are so much in the darkness in this age of Kali, the dark age, they have no idea of an alternative. No. The only alternative is maybe some pseudo-religious, spiritual idea, or some change of policy, politics, or whatever. None of these things actually get to the real root of it. The real root. The weed is still there. The disease is still there. And we have not just to cure the disease, lifestyle to prevent disease coming back is required also. And what is the objective? It's not just to be healthy, but it's to know what to do. What is the point of a healthy life? What is the point of mode of goodness? What's the point? Just to live in this universe, birth after birth, in a mode of goodness? That's not the purpose of human life particularly. So the protection, Parikshit Maharaj is giving protection. It's not just to protect people from the influence of Kali, but it's to protect them from birth and death also. Who can protect anyone from birth and death? It's not within the realm of a any conditioned soul, try as you may, birth and death will go on. Old age, disease, whatever, different degrees, it will go on. No ordinary person can prevent that. Of course you could say even Parikshit Maharaj couldn't stop birth and death, but he can, in a different way. Because people are in ignorance, they see birth and death as simply a physical event, physical thing, and they try to use physical things to stop it. That doesn't work. The protection there is, at least of a Kshatriya, of a leader, of an emperor in this case, is to facilitate the prajas, the living entities' spiritual lives, so they begin to realize. For the soul, there was never birth nor death. Are you heading off now, Shrina?
He's got a class this morning in the Bible Gita. I want to get him some.
Oh, that's nice. Where's that, Avanti school?
School, yeah.
Very nice, that's very nice.
Breakfast.
It's nice to see you
Yes,
for a long time.
Still like we-
How are the Thakurs?
Everybody's okay.
They're all doing okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Nice.
Disjointed, but it's something.
Pardon?
Everyone's a bit disjointed. My wife and kids are in Poland and I'm here in Martin. Never mind. Long story.
Long story. Well, we'll leave it for now. And we...
I'm not going.
Huh?
I'm just good here. I'm staying around.
You're still around?
Yeah, I'll be around. I'm just out here, that's all.
I thought you were going to the Avanti school.
But he is, I'm not.
He's going on his own?
I was going with this now, go home.
Oh, okay. You don't drive yet?
Yeah, drive, I don't car. I don't know.
No, not yet. Haribol, we'll see you later. Protecting from harm. And the greatest, it's described that the actual root, in this world, and maybe we can go beyond this world, but let's look at this world, universe. The greatest sin is to identify with the body. It's the cause of all the other activities, whatever, that go on thereafter. You identify oneself with this body, then there are regulations, and pious people follow regulations. But even those regulations are only like regulating a prisoner in a prison house. They're not the real thing. They're just to help to keep law and order or whatever it is in the prison house of the material world. And many people don't even follow that. They behave like animals. So it's the emperor's duty to try to protect religious principles for the welfare of the citizens, no matter who they are. Who does that? Practically nobody. They change the religious principles more than protect them, uphold them, change it. We have voted. We don't think, this is interpreted differently. They don't follow, very rarely. And thus the result is that Kali continues to dominate by following religious principles. Now, religious principles, you could say, and the various kinds of guidelines are there, but the real religious principle in this Kali Yuga, what's that verse? Can't remember the Sanskrit, but it describes how the Kali Yuga, the only real religious principle is the Sankirtan movement, the chanting of holy names. So it's the leader's business to introduce this. You'll see this in the next verse. Srila Prabhupada goes into, I guess that'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow, do you have Bhagavatam also or not? Monday? Well, tomorrow's verse is one of those really, whoa. If you've got a spare moment tomorrow morning, don't miss it. It's quite something, tomorrow's verse. We're not touching on it right now. But it's quite something. it does mention what we just mentioned, but it goes into great detail on it. Great detail, quite a bit of detail. And beyond and above that, it goes into detail on environmental situations, which are not just to prevent the negative, but to evoke the positive. It's not all about rules and regulations. One has to introduce, or one has to live by it too. One has to introduce the real essential purpose of human life. Both sides. So otherwise, there's not really, you're still going to be in the material world, even if you are following rules and regulations. One has to know what the real essence of the purpose of human life is. The emperor is supposed to also be able to offer that. It's not just a hard-line management structure. Just like, for instance, during the time of Duryodhana, he was a very good manager. He was a very good manager. Very good. As good as anyone. But he wasn't a devotee. He wasn't giving the real purpose behind it. One has to know the purpose behind all of this. He wasn't a Rajarishi. He was a Raja, but not a Rajarishi. So Krishna, at least at that time, he wanted to establish the pious Pandavas in the position of like emperor of the world. That he did. Because only a Rajarishi can really act for the welfare of others. Real welfare. Nishina asked, how are you yourself? So the real Rajarishi has to know what the self is and to help people to realize the self. Not just to have a nice, pious, material life, but to realize their spiritual identity. And he has to introduce the various, or facilitate the various. And one of the main responsibilities of an emperor is to facilitate the Yuga Dharma. They don't very often do that. You're supposed to facilitate it. In fact, they more than facilitate, they participate in it also. Previous ages, maybe deity worship, maybe yagyas. The kings would be right in the middle of it, performing yagya. Arranging yagyas according to the age they're in, Yuga Dharma. And in this age, they should be leading the Sankirtan. You have now Keir, what's his name? Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister here. Don't shake your head, you know, just trying to be humble. Keir Starmer, he's the Prime Minister, is that right, of the UK? He should be leading the Harinam out. Then he'll be successful. He won't get any votes. But yet the devotees would vote for him, probably. Right? He might decide to vote if Keir Starmer was like, okay, this week we're going to go 11 o'clock at night on Harinam around Leicester, okay? And we'll call all the devotees, everybody come and join us on Harinam. First resolution in Parliament. We'll have, everywhere Harinam Sankirtan before the beginning of any events. Harinam Sankirtan. You'll be very successful spiritually. You really get a lot of credit. This is Kali Yuga. The leaders don't, neither the spiritual or material leaders practically, are more or less under the grips of Kali. There's a mission of Lord Chaitanya to save people from the grips of Kali by loud chanting of the holy name of Krishna. We may not be able to think, we may not see, we may not experience, so to speak, the pervasive effects, maybe some localized effects are there, but at least in our own lives it should be the case. We shouldn't allow Kali to enter into our own lives. If Kali enters into our own dealings, our own lives, and there's no hope. Isn't it? Prabhupada said nothing can really stop this movement, it's Lord Chaitanya's movement. But from within, it may be, ultimately nothing can stop it, you would say, if this is Lord Chaitanya's will. But as far as the institutional endeavour to fulfill this mission or to be a part of this mission, I would say only within could this be, impeded, really impeded, the Sankirtan. When devotees stop Sankirtan, when they even, we know from, if you've read any writings of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, that Naistika, atheist, or one who's opposed to the mission of the Lord, is one who tries to impede or stop the performance of Sankirtan. Though even in our own mission sometimes there are some, apparently, maybe not exclusively, but apparently to some degree, belittling or preventing the performance of Nam Yogya, Nam Sankirtan Yoga. Within our own movement sometimes it's not pervasive by any means, but on occasion we see this. It's the influence of Kali, it's the influence of, and there's a lot of quarrel. We see a lot of quarrel. We see a lot of fault finding, isn't it? A lot of criticisms. And these are influences of Kali Yuga. We're becoming influenced. Another influence of Kali Yuga, particularly, of course, is everywhere, number two, but it's emphasized, is, what's the word? Increased, it's not the word, but something like that. Increased, magnified, that's the word. Magnified in Kali Yuga. Seeing oneself in the center. Seeing oneself as being, a victim. The symptoms of Kali Yuga. It becomes almost a philosophy. Victimized society. As if we're innocent and we've been victimized by persons who are guilty. Of course, there are external rules to deal with behaviors. Internally, this is also an influence of Kali to justify my illusion, take advantage of. Another major communication system in Kali Yuga, the social media, is very much a powerful means of propagating Kali Yuga. Very powerful. We try to use the same thing for propagating Krishna consciousness. Vast majority is propagating Kali's business, vast majority. And we may also sometimes misuse that opportunity, and instead of glorifying Krishna, we belittle others and find fault with others and so on. Kali Yuga. We have to, we don't have to, we're supposed to not get captivated by all of that. Social media is so powerful. Even the names we choose. What is it called? Yahoo? Yahoo? Is that right? Yahoo? And when you open it, what does it say? My Yahoo. And if you change the word, it's Maya Who. Maya Who. Google. Go ogle. Ogle is just kind of like drifting tension, mainly towards sex life. Go ogle. Google. Yamaha is the name of a company. Yamaha. So many of them. It's almost like they know. They almost know. They almost know. This is arranged by Kali to perplex and bewilder people. Captivate their attention. Before you know, you're in the trap. Pretty hard to get out when you're in the trap. Hard to cut that knot. Very hard. Even as devotees, when you realize you've said something, you've done something, you behaved in such a way, oh my God, maybe it's not right. But to back down, it's pretty humiliating. You've got to be pretty humbled. Shringi didn't back down. This is the age of Kali. Even though his father pointed out before. Kali Yuga, very hard. Humility is almost like a dirty word. True humility. You have humility amongst thieves, but that's not real humility. Honesty. Very hard in Kali Yuga. All the good qualities of human being are more or less destroyed in this age. There's only one good quality, Eka Mahanguna. Kalaya Dosha Mahaguna. Asti Eka Mahaguna. Kirtana Deva Krishna Shimukta Sangha Parambhajat. This age is only Eka Mahaguna, one good quality. The kirtan, the chanting, it must go on. Nothing else will work. Nothing else will work. Other things may be that support, they may be, whatever you want to call it. Just like, with your leg, unfortunately you have this problem, so you need support. Sometimes you used to need a walking stick, now you've got this artificial leg, we need support. So the support, but they're not the main thing. Everything, deity worship, temples, everything's required. Books. Support to the Yuga Dharma. Either to convince us or to facilitate it, to attract people to it, and so on and so forth. Prasadam, everything. Support to the Yuga Dharma. Sankirtan, this is the only, it's not a question, oh, it's nice, huh? You do this, you do that. It is Shastra, Lord Chaitanya, our acharyas say it is the only way, not an alternate way, the only way to counteract the effects of Kali is the Sankirtan, chanting of the holy name. Without that, everything is just like an empty container. Looks nice, but there's no substance inside. You imagine, I'm sure everybody here has had their time of being attracted to chocolates. And they're a very popular foodstuff in this day and age. And imagine if you go, we used to like chocolates that had something in them, some kind of, I don't remember the names, but some kind of thing inside, something tasty. Huh?
Africana chocolate.
African chocolates?
It's chocolate with cream inside.
Cream, okay. Sounds good. We used to have even ice cream inside chocolate. I mean, there was one type of chocolate that had ice cream, chocolate on the outside, and ice cream on the inside. I don't know if it's still there. Choc ice, they used to call it, I think. Very nice, we really look for it. Imagine if you got a choc ice and you're looking forward to it, the combined taste of the chocolate with the ice cream. It really sounds good. Huh? Different flavored ice creams. You bite into the chocolate, there's nothing inside except for air. Oh, what is this, This is, I've been cheated. Cheated. Or an eclair or something, you bite it, there's nothing inside, it's just air. Pretty disappointing, huh? Looks good, huh?
And it's more expensive.
Is it more expensive? With the air is more expensive. Okay. You certainly have to pay the price in the long run. But it's pretty disappointing, and that's what's going on. It looks good, but there's nothing really inside. It's empty. Nothing of value inside. Nice advertisement. So, nice temples, nice looking devotees, nice philosophy, nice. But these are all good as well. There is another side to it. You get the point. If there's no real kirtan going on, what's the meaning of it all? What's the real essence? Kirtan is the essence of our movement. It's our life. life and soul, whatever form it takes. You could say everything's within the bracket of kirtan, but it shouldn't just be a bracket. There should actually be kirtan also. Otherwise, something's amiss, something's not happening. There should be an attraction. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj described, I don't know, the memory of all these things, of course, is expected. Kali Yuga, we can have such good memory. That's one of the characteristics of Kali Yuga. He described how sadhana, sadhana means practicing various forms of devotional limbs. Sadhana in this age means that which helps to awaken a taste for chanting. And he says if our sadhana or our practices do not awake or develop an awakening or an attraction for chanting, they are an impediment on the path of devotion. They're an impediment. They're not support, they're an impediment. They're meant to support the awakening of the holy, of the taste for chanting. Otherwise they're an impediment, they're a block. Impediments have to be removed. And then he says that in this age, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he didn't preach other forms. They're there, they're necessary. The acharyas have introduced deity worship in temples. They're very important for many angles, and one of them, not the only one, is naturally to support all the preparation for people, but the purpose behind it is to develop an attraction for chanting the holy name. We study the books, but the purpose is to develop an attraction for chanting the holy name. It's not. That is also kirtan, by the way, when we speak the words of Shastra, bona fide Gaudiya Vaishnava Shastras. It's also kirtan. But particularly the Mahamantra, particularly the Yuga Dharma, Nama Sankirtan, must be there. He said that the Sankirtan movement, King Parikshit is an emperor. He said it's the emperor of all sadhana. There are many sadhanas, but this is the emperor. He oversees everything. All the kings work under his direction. So in this age particularly, Nam Sankirtan is the emperor of all sadhana. And we have to follow the emperor. We may have our local kings and we have many different services to perform. But ultimately it's all meant to be under the guideline or under the shelter of the emperor, Nama Sankirtan. He then says, it is the only, he doesn't say a, he says the only infallible. Infallible means without falling, there's no question of not succeeding. The only infallible process of success or perfection in this age. There is no other. Nama Sankirtan is the only infallible means of perfection. He was quite emphatic on it, although he himself opened many temples and did many things. The whole purpose, the life of the temple, is the chanting of the holy name. Kirtan, Sankirtan. This is how Kali Yuga can be countered. There's no way we're going to close down all the brothels and all the, whatever, slaughterhouses, the places of intoxication. You didn't need Maharaj Parikshit, but the situation when Maharaj Parikshit was present, there was one Kali. Now more or less everybody is an instrument of Kali. Almost everyone, from top to bottom. We're also somewhat affected by that for sure. We're not free of it either. There's still the inclination for the gloss of Kali Yuga. The attractions, so-called, impeding our execution of devotion. Loud chanting of the holy name in the association of devotees. This is the methodology. Meant to be in the association. You can do on your own if you have to, of course, you do your best. But ideally in the association of devotees. As we read at the beginning last night of a little session here, when I was there, that Srila Prabhupada said, asking Prachini Barishat was performing yoga one after the next. We have to introduce one after the next, non-stop Sankirtan yogas everywhere to counteract the inauspicious situation we're in today. This will make people happy. Non-stop Sankirtan, non-stop. Hare Krishna. So wherever we are, we're supposed to try to chant the holy names. And how easy we forget. How easy we forget. Parikshit Maharaj was very attentive in his duty. He didn't give an inch for Kali. During his reign, Kali had no influence. He was there, but he was totally under control. So Kali can be controlled by the holy name, by the Sankirtan movement. But if we're still controlled by Kali, then what can we do? We ourselves are also still somewhat influenced. Purify our own hearts by chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. People think that we're the mischief mongers. You are troublemakers. You're disturbing the peace. I was thinking when you went on Harinam last night that perhaps some people would have said that, you're disturbing the peace. What peace is there? You're disturbing the pieces, but not the peace. There was quite a bit of noise out there. Cars were blowing their horns. Went on about 10 minutes. I don't know what was the problem. Maybe the Sankirtan party were blocking the road or something. I don't know what they were doing. Honking away. And some of the guys revving up their motorbikes and their cars. And crazy people screaming their heads off. You're disturbing the peace. Obstructing the footpath. You're preventing me from getting in the bar. Get out of here. I'll arrest you. Hare Krishna. Everywhere, people will see the Hare Krishna, devotees chanting. I used to think like that a little bit, in the early days. There were less devotees, by the way. But I did a survey, I did an analysis. I think it was in 1991. It wasn't accurate, but it was fairly accurate. I looked back at the movement in 1971, 72, 20 years later. 1971 and 72, because most of the devotees live in a temple. An average temple devotee spent, there's 24 hours in a day. An average devotee was going out 5 hours a day. Now that's average. Some were going out 8, 9, 10. Some were not going out much or not at all. But an average devotee was going out an hour. So that's about over 20% of the total time that was available with all the devotees, male and female, old and young, on the street chanting Hare Krishna. That doesn't include in the temple, just on the street. 20%. It's a lot of time. That's 7 days a week, by the way, not 1 or 6 or 7 on average. Thereabouts, give or take a few percent. The same analysis in 1991, 0.002%. That's about 10,000 times less. Overall, because most of those are congregational devotees, so fair enough, they don't have the time. But it gives a picture. And the devotees in the temple, even if you see the Harinam party on Saturday night, maybe it's changed now, but previously nobody from the temple would go on the Harinam party on Saturday night. Nobody. Only a few congregation members. It's changed a bit now. That's what it was. It was almost like a luxury. I was told by my authority, that, and we were collecting money in this is in the 80s, collecting money on Sankirtan. There were no books going out, no Harinam going on. Just get out there and do the pick, as they say. Candles, we were selling candles. Have you ever had that era or not? These fancy candles, what a joke. You know, dressed up like some karmi salesman selling candles to make money. And so I broke the law and I said, look, okay, we have our quota, let's do our quota in 5 days. Saturday we'll go out at a party, we were in East Anglia. So let's go on Harinam and just get some books from somewhere and do books on Saturday. As soon as that was found out, I was brought in and severely admonished and chastised for this, for performing Sankirtan, chanting the holy name, distributing books. You're not allowed to do that. You've got to make money. You've got to make money. Money is the root of all, but it's not the misuse. Hopefully it wasn't misused. I'm not going to comment on that one. But that sometimes that tendency comes in. You know? We're not here to make money. We're here to preach Krishna consciousness. Money will come. If you want to make money, start a business. Be honest. If you want to manage the movement like a businessman, manage your business. Don't manage the preaching. You can help support it. This is a mission to spread the holy name to every town and village. Isn't it? These are Lord Chaitanya's words. To spread the holy name to every town and village. That's his mission. And as Emperor Pritchett was going everywhere to make sure Kali was not causing any trouble. Oh, we're not King Pritchett, but we can go everywhere and chant the holy name. Whatever they think, that's their problem. At least that much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Premanandi.